Now, another topic we want to discuss, I feel like I'm going to have fun with this one, is undercover racism. Undercover racism. Right now, 2016 AD, I don't really feel like we can call it undercover anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's too much incriminating evidence to really call it undercover racism. I feel like that's a blanketed term to promote the fact that, hey, maybe they don't know they're being racist. But I know, based off experience, nobody's born a racist. Facts. Nobody's born a racist. You're 9 times out of 10 taken into racism, or should I say taught racism. Racism itself is not a term that can be loosely used. And people get the common misconception because you might hear a brother or sister say cracker, or I don't like white people, or whatever the case may be. Now, we all know, well, me especially, I know, me calling a white person a cracker is not me being racist. That's me using a derogatory term. But racism at its core is the ability to oppress and depress a group of people. We can't do that. As African peoples, we can't do that. Because we don't have the resources or power available to oppress another group of people. We can't do that. That's not in our nature, first and foremost. Second of all, we don't have the power nor resources to do it right now. Now, when I think of racism, most people will think civil rights and slavery and things of that nature. Now, that's all true. That's all factual. But racism now in 2016, it gets deeper. Because now we have cultural racism. Where right now in South Africa, there are a group of girls protesting for the right to wear their natural hair. But recently, I just seen Marc Jacobs doing a runway show promoting locks with dashiki print and accessories. That's racism. So I can't be my natural self and my natural being with my natural hair, but you can promote the same thing for economic gain. That's racism. And that's just one example of racism. Another form of racism, and this is something a lot of my brothers and sisters probably can relate to. You go to the job. You fill out the app. Your resume is outstanding. Got a degree here, degree there. This experience, that experience. Been on the job for this long, and et cetera, et cetera. And you finish up your interview. Master tells you, look, we'll give you a call if we're interested. But you get little Billy Bob from around the corner. Just graduated high school. No degree, no experience, no nothing. You see him on the job a month later. You never received a call back. But they have this thing they call equal opportunity employment. That's another form of racism. Now, I'm not saying it comes in all fashions and every sense that, oh, well, black people just don't get the job because they're black. I'm not saying that. But we have to look at the statistics and the facts. That's the facts. We get shut out from opportunity, especially economic opportunity. Those are signs of racism. We also have underlining racism, where we feel like because the white man or the white woman listens to our music and, you know, parties with us and we go smoke weed together and things of that nature, we feel like we got a friend. But behind closed doors, they really don't like you. And I always ask brothers and sisters who come to me, well, what about my white friends? Well, what about Sarah? I've known her since elementary. And I tell them, simply ask these people, if it came down to it and war was upon us, whose side would they stand on with you? Would they stand on your side, or would they stand on their people's side? That's when you can find out your real answers on who's racist and who's not, because psychologically, a lot of people are racist and don't even know it. They may not assume the racist stamp. They may not call you nigger and, say derogatory things to you, and they might be buddy-buddy with you, but a lot of them are racist and don't even know they're racist. Now, when I mean that, they may subconsciously say and do things that promote underlying racism. And you just sit around, you might catch it. And a lot of brothers and sisters are smart enough to know, okay, that statement was a little racist. You know what I'm saying? What you just did was a little racist. You know what I'm saying? And now we have a social media craze of racism that's being taken as comedy. I saw a post the other day, social media, where two white women painted their faces black. And the caption read, "I'm laughing so hard, I feel like Eric Gardner. I can't breathe." This was on social media. And we still feel like this is funny. Some of us even were under the post commenting, laughing. Ha ha. It's funny. But you're not knowing that's a direct slap in the face to your ancestors and to everybody else who fought for these type of things to not continue. And as we aid in the underlying racism and promote this coonery and this crackatosis is what I like to call it, and we promote this, it almost gives the racist intent a pass. And when we also promote the connotation that all lives matter and things of this nature, and people say we should stop speaking on race and it's over with, we've been out of slavery for this long and this long, it's all bullshit. And the propaganda that you speak on in that fashion, it's been placed upon you by the same people. So when you hear all lives matter, it's not a fact that we don't know all lives are valuable. It's the fact that I don't see any other ethnicity being slaughtered in the street. I don't see any other ethnicity being sentenced to 60 years for driving on a suspended license. I don't see any other ethnicity being falsely accused and sentenced to 50 years in prison. What I see is white boys raping women and being let out of jail in 3 months. That's what I see. I see you're supposed to be running for president candidate saying he wants to deport a group of melanated people. I also see people, not that this is really that important, but I also see people promoting this false connotation that because a brother wants to kneel down during the whatever the hell you want to call it, the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, whatever the case may be, since you want to debate about that fact, it really promotes the whole idea of undercover racism. So you're telling me that it's not patriotic to want to kneel during the national anthem because of what it promotes, and also the fact that there is no national anthem because the fact that black people are being murdered in the street as we speak. That's very psychotic to me. But in the same hand, you call this brother nigger and you tell him to go back to Africa. You tell him leave your sports league and things of this nature because he doesn't agree with what the country is doing to black people. And in a sense, that's very contradicting. And it shows the underlying racism. It shows that America still has a problem admitting the fact that there is racism. And to all the brothers and sisters who are getting paid off or are just super coons to a degree, those people that are promoting this same false advertisement that there's no such thing as racism, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because you take away those checks and the fancy houses and things of that nature, you're still a nigger to them. That's the fact of the matter. I don't care if I was Jay-Z or just me. You're still a nigger in their eyes. And at the end of the day, if you're not working for them and shifting their poles, there's only so far that you're going to go. So with that being said, there's a lot of things that we need to really start getting in our heads first and foremost. And you got a lot of quote unquote even conscious brothers and sisters who will sit and talk about, you're the enemy, brother, we're the enemy. You got to get right with yourself and the enemy is within you. And okay, I hear you, brother, sister, I hear you. I understand that. And I understand that. But for you to promote this ideology that there's not an outside presence that's causing us to be in this same cyclical motion that we're in of racism. And now it's to the point that the racism has been embedded so much that we promote self-hate so they don't even have to do it. I seen more brothers and sisters coming at the brother for standing on a knee or getting down on one knee during the national anthem than I seen white people. And that's ridiculous. And to the white people and to the Caucasian brothers and sisters, that's letting them know that, look, I'm with y'all. Regardless of what they talking about, I know what's going on out here on the news, and I see us getting murdered in the street. But look, y'all been good to me. So I'm going to agree with y'all. That's house niggas. That's house niggas that do that. Because anybody out here tell you, 9 times out of 10, you go to any random brother or sister on the street and you ask them, how you feel about racism? They got a whole spiel to give you. I can guarantee 9 out of the 10 people I can walk by today will give you a whole concept on what racism is in their community. I know it for a fact. So when we start getting out here and promoting and not speaking up on the fact that there still is racism, never has went anywhere, it's just more subtle now. Racism is Planned Parenthood. Racism is Monsanto. Racism is the church. Y'all not gonna like that. Y'all not, see, that's too harsh for you. You're not gonna like that. But when you do the research, you'll understand what I'm talking about. These things are all racism. So when we speak on these things, and like I said, don't get it twisted, because don't let this head wrap and this dashiki fool you. I was the same brother in the streets with y'all, so I know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted like I'm just Joe Smo conscious, bro. It's not that type of party. So when I speak on these things, you got to understand that it's coming from a place of realism, and it's coming from a place of observation and fact. So when I say all of these things, when you go to school and public schooling, that's racism. When you go to your public hospitals, 9 times out of 10, that's racism. So these things are very important. We got to start thinking about that. Police brutality. It's nothing but the KKK with a blue suit on. Facts. We can bring you the research to back it up. Before it was a police force, it was a slave catcher force. Do the research. Before you was a pastor, you was a house nigga who got a promotion. These are all facts. So when we start getting outside the box and thinking, oh, well, we can go to church to prevent racism, and we can go, you know, to wherever to prevent racism, bro, it's on every corner. And some of the people that look like you are the biggest racists. That's the sad reality of it. Because there's more house niggas than field niggas nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we have to start honing in and taking responsibility that we got to start straight diminishing this whole concept of racism. And I'm not talking about, oh, let's not talk about it. Let's just forget it. I'm saying literally hit racism at its core. Economically, stop spending with them. Spiritually, stop basing your religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs off their system. Stop doing it. Public schooling, get your child out of there. They're not teaching you nothing about you or your people. Get them out of there. These things are very vital. Get off their healthcare systems. Stop doing it. Get off food stamps. I know a lot of y'all need them. Find alternative ways. Because if not, you'll forever be a slave. And that's continuing to further the racism. Stop going to Planned Parenthood, getting your birth control and abortions. And that's no knock to the sisters that have done it. But if you knew better, you would do better. So I'm going to be the one to tell you, you got to cut it out. Those are other forms of racism. You don't believe me? Go research Margaret Sanger, the eugenics program. Learn you something. Because if you don't believe it's real, it's very vital to your well-being. And if you became a victim to it, you better believe your damn children going to become a victim to it. And you're the only person that can stop it. At this point, you got to lead by example. So for those people that might be viewing this, if you end up viewing this segment and you listen to everything I said and understand it and overstand it, you'll see what the truth is. Like I said, I don't speak from biased opinion. I don't speak from emotion. I speak from fact. I don't do rhetoric and pseudoscience or any of that craziness. It's all fact. So, and that's just the underlying racism in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? And of course, it's way more examples I can give just based off my personal experience. But I'm going to leave y'all with that piece to just go ponder on. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, do your own research. And you can start. If you want to start, just for starters, get the Willie Lynch letter. Just go get the Willie Lynch letter. Start there. If you need to, contact me. I'll point you in the right direction to some more very vital pieces you can read up on. Straight facts, laws, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So you can get this up here equipped with what's going on out here and stop living under the false pretense that there's no such thing as racism anymore because you got a job as manager at McDonald's. That's not the reality, family. Because like I said, you might got that nice little supervisor job, but you still don't have any economic power. So when you realize, okay, something ain't right, you know what I'm saying? You gonna really start honing in to this right here. And you're gonna let that intuition take over. But like I said, that's just one piece on underlying racism and undercover racism.